One sentence. That's all it took. Bichette didn't demand a trade. He didn't criticize Toronto. He didn't hint at contracts or leverage or playing hardball with the front office. He just said this: "I'm open to moving to second base." And suddenly everything changed. Because the moment those words leaked from MLB.com's Mark Feinsand, front offices across the league stopped what they were doing. Phones went silent, spreadsheets got updated, and somewhere in Los Angeles, someone in the Dodgers war room probably smiled. This is confirmed. Bichette has started telling teams directly that he would be willing to shift off shortstop permanently. The man who has played that position his entire professional life, the guy who grew up worshiping his father, Dante's swing, just removed the single biggest obstacle standing between him and a bidding war. But here's what nobody is talking about yet. That 442-foot bomb off Shohei Ohtani in Game 7 of the World Series, the 3-run shot that silenced the greatest two-way player in baseball history and sent Rogers Center into absolute pandemonium. Bo hit that while playing second base. His first time ever at the position in the major leagues, on a knee that wasn't fully healed. After missing 6 weeks of the regular season and the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, he didn't just survive at second base, he thrived there. He hit 348 in that World Series, and now he's telling teams that wasn't a one-time thing. This changes the math completely. Think about what Bichette endured just to be on that field. A left knee sprain suffered in September during a collision at home plate. 6 weeks of rehab. Watching from the sidelines as his teammates fought through the Division Series and Championship Series without him, then returning for the biggest stage in baseball, not fully healed, playing a position he'd never played professionally, and he made it look easy. The Blue Jays put him at second base to limit his defensive workload. They knew his lateral movement wasn't there. They knew he couldn't cover the range required at shortstop. But what they also knew was that his bat couldn't stay out of that lineup. Not in the World Series, not against the Dodgers. So they gambled, and Bichette delivered. At shortstop, Bichette fits some teams. His range has declined. The defensive metrics haven't been kind. Scouts whisper about lateral movement and arm angles, but at second base, he fits everyone. The defensive burden drops. The offensive expectations stay elite. And suddenly, a 2-time All-Star who led the American League in hits twice becomes the most versatile bat on the entire market. One fan summed it up perfectly online. Moving off shortstop turns him from a niche fit into a legit market bat up the middle. That's the key line. That's what makes this so dangerous. Because when you look at the teams with established shortstops who desperately need offensive help at second base, one organization jumps off the page immediately. The Dodgers got 2.5 FWAR from their second baseman in 2025. They ranked 22nd in the majors in WRC Plus at the position. Their lineup hit just 233 in the postseason. The team that won back-to-back World Series titles did so despite having a black hole in the middle of their infield. Mookie Betts is locked in at shortstop. Dave Roberts confirmed it during the winter meetings. Betts led all National League shortstops with 21 outs above average and won a Fielding Bible Award. He's not moving, but that means the Dodgers need someone next to him who can actually hit. Enter Bichette. MLB Network analyst Anthony Castrovince said it plainly. I would wish for them Bichette for a couple of reasons. One, he fills the need at second base. They didn't get much production there. But here's where this gets darker. Imagine the narrative. The Dodgers signed the heart and soul of the team they just beat in 7 games. The guy whose towering home run off Ohtani nearly ended their championship repeat. The first player to hit a 3-run homer in Game 7 of a World Series since Julian Javier did it for the Cardinals in 1967. Toronto would have to watch him put on Dodger blue every single day. The same swing that almost broke Los Angeles would now be working for them. One analyst called it the troll job of the century. But the Dodgers aren't the only predators circling. Consider what Andrew Friedman's front office has done in recent years. They signed Freddie Freeman, they landed Shohei Ohtani and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. They brought in Blake Snell and Tanner Scott. This is an organization that addresses weaknesses with overwhelming force. They don't patch holes, they fill them with all-stars. Second base has been a weakness for 2 straight seasons now. The position has been a revolving door of playoff heroes and international signings, none of whom could hold the job long-term. If Friedman decides Bichette is the answer, the checkbook opens. End of story. The Yankees have entered the conversation, and their situation is somehow even more complicated. Anthony Volpe has been abysmal offensively for the better part of 2 full seasons. Jazz Chisholm Jr. is being shopped in trade rumors despite entering his final year of team control. And general manager Brian Cashman has gone on record saying New York is open-minded about roster changes. ESPN's David Schoenfield laid out the scenario. Bichette could either provide another option at shortstop to Anthony Volpe or play second, with Jose Caballero backing up both positions. The projection for Bichette's next contract sits at 5 years, $150 million. That's the same ballpark as Kyle Schwarber's deal with Philadelphia. It's less than what Baltimore just gave Pete Alonso. For a 27-year-old who has never posted a WRC plus below 100 in a healthy season, that feels almost affordable. But wait, something stranger is happening beneath the surface. The Red Sox had a Zoom meeting with Bichette. Boston views him as an intriguing alternative if they can't bring back Alex Bregman. The Athletic reported that the Sox could place Bichette at second base, with Trevor Story at shortstop and top prospect Marcelo Mayer at third. An entire infield restructured around one free agent's willingness to change positions. This isn't normal. Teams don't reorganize their entire defensive alignment for a player unless they believe he fundamentally changes their championship window. There's a pattern emerging here. Every team that makes sense for Bichette shares one common thread. They have an established shortstop who isn't going anywhere. The Dodgers have Betts, the Yankees have Volpe, the Red Sox have Story, the Mets have Lindor, the Giants have Adams. None of those teams could have realistically pursued Bichette at shortstop. The fit wouldn't work, the defensive overlap would create chaos. But at second base, every single one becomes a viable destination. That's why this announcement feels calculated. Bichette didn't randomly decide to mention positional flexibility. He opened the floodgates intentionally. The Giants are lurking too. Their second baseman hit .216 with a .273 OBP and a .342 slugging percentage in 2025. Those numbers are borderline offensive. Bichette would immediately become the best offensive second baseman San Francisco has had in years, slotting next to Willie Adams at shortstop. And the Mets have Francisco Lindor locked up for a decade. They could add Bichette at second and suddenly possess one of the most dangerous middle infields in baseball history. But here's what makes this truly terrifying for Blue Jays fans. Toronto wants him back. The organization has been clear about that. They just signed Dylan Cease to a 7-year, $210 million deal. They added Cody Ponce. They're trying to build a championship roster around Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who signed his 14-year, $500 million extension and isn't going anywhere. The problem is leverage, and Bo Bichette just took all of it. By announcing his willingness to play second base, Bichette didn't just expand his market, he tilted the entire negotiation away from the one team that hoped positional certainty might keep him close. Before this, Toronto could argue that Bichette was a shortstop who only fit certain rosters. Now, he fits everywhere, every contender, every big market team with money to spend. The Blue Jays have Andres Gimenez, a 3-time Gold Glove winner, available to play shortstop. They have Addison Barger and Ernie Clement filling infield roles. They have options, but do they have the willingness to outbid 29 other teams for a player who just made himself universally attractive? Money is almost undefeated in free agency. Personal preference can break a tie, but ties are rare when the Dodgers and Yankees come calling. And there's something else nobody's mentioning. The Braves were one of the teams most heavily linked to Bichette. Atlanta had a clear opening at shortstop after losing Orlando Arcia. They had the payroll flexibility, they had the need, but on Monday, they signed Ha-Seong Kim to a 1-year, $20 million deal instead. Some people see that as good news for Toronto, one less competitor. But think about what it actually means. Atlanta looked at Bo Bichette and said no. They evaluated the cost, the years, the defensive questions, and they chose a different path. If a team that desperately needed middle infield help passed on Bichette, what does that tell us about how the market views him? Theory only. No confirmation, but it raises questions. Meanwhile, the clock keeps ticking. Spring training is 2 months away. The Blue Jays just went to Game 7 of the World Series and lost. Their fans are still processing the Miguel Rojas home run that tied it in the 9th. The Dodgers comeback that crushed Canadian hearts. The image of Bo Bichette singling with one out in the bottom of the 9th, getting removed for a pinch runner, and watching from the dugout as the dream died. Was that his final game in a Toronto uniform? Bichette said after Game 7, what he said for years, "I've said I want to be here from the beginning." He and Vladdy have been inseparable since they were teenagers in the minor leagues. They came up together. They suffered through losing seasons together. They built something together. "I wish we could have won it together," Bichette said that night. "I wish we could have shared that moment together." The emotion was real. The connection is real. But free agency doesn't care about connection. Here's what we know for certain. Bo Bichette hit .311 with 18 home runs and 94 RBI in 139 games during the 2025 regular season. His 44 doubles ranked second in the majors. His 181 hits tied for second. He's entering free agency at 27 years old, right in the heart of his prime. And he just told every team in baseball that they can slot him at second base without hesitation. Here's what remains unknown: whether Toronto will match whatever offer comes from Los Angeles or New York, whether Bichette's preference for staying actually survives a $200 million offer from a coastal superpower, whether the defensive concerns that have haunted him at shortstop will follow him to second base or disappear entirely. The market is about to find out, because Bo Bichette didn't ask to leave Toronto. He didn't demand a trade. He didn't criticize the organization or hint at dissatisfaction. He just made himself impossible to ignore. One sentence, 6 words. "I'm open to moving to second base." And now every team in baseball knows the door's open. The Dodgers see it, the Yankees see it, the Red Sox and Giants and Mets see it. They're all reaching for the handle. The only question left is whether Toronto can slam that door shut before someone else walks through it. That home run off Ohtani in Game 7? The 442-foot blast that should have been the defining moment of Blue Jays history? It might end up being remembered as something else entirely. The last great swing Bo Bichette ever took in a Toronto uniform. The market is moving, the phones are ringing, and somewhere in a front office far from Canada, someone is already drafting the contract that could change everything. Bo Bichette opened the door. Now we wait to see who walks through it.